Hello and welcome to the Embedded World Exhibitor forum in Hall 3 here. The first presentation is from Farnell. It is called Farnell and Raspberry Pi, over 10 years of Raspberry Pi and element14 community. And your speakers today are Phil, Hutchinson, and Clem Mayer.
Thank you, Maurice. I appreciate it.
Enjoy.
Thanks. Hello. Hi, I'm Phil from the element14 community. And today I brought along with me Clem from Mayer Makes. And yeah, we're going to be talking about the history of Raspberry Pi and element14. You get the slides, fantastic. So Raspberry Pi and element14 have been together from day one, to be honest, and it's been 11 plus years. First off, what is element14? element14 is an engineering community. We have 750,000 members and more. We've been around since 2009, and we are a place where you can learn, you can grow, and you can communicate. If you are an end-user engineer, we're a place where you can go and get support about the projects that you're working on, the products you are working on. If you are a supplier, you can use that as a way of outreaching to these engineers. The way we think about it is engineers are engineers on their lunch break. They're engineers on their on Sunday. They're engineers when they're having their lunch and they're flicking through their phone. And what we do is we make some amazing content and reach out to some amazing engineers. We have lots of different programs. For one, element14 Presents, which is our YouTube channel, where we have Clem, who will be coming up and talking in a moment. We have free webinars. We have free learning, including educational resources, PDFs that are downloadable, ebooks, and a bunch of build challenges. One build challenge we're going to be launching today is our design challenge, which is all about Raspberry Pi and Raspberry Pi Day, but I'll be talking about that a little later. A very special one that we also love is road tests. Road tests are a great way for suppliers and manufacturers to get their products in the hands of engineers and have them give it a real good, real-world review and attach that onto the internet. So we get the engineers that use it at the end, get to play with it either early or at the very beginning of the life cycle of the product, and they get to explore it and show it off to the world, and then we put it on the community and we share it with the rest of the world. So element14, really just a giant community of engineers, have been around since 2009. Yeah, connect thousands of engineers, learn, create, inspire. Honestly, it's a genuinely cool place. Some of the intricacies of meeting people and talking to engineers, you get all of the little moments of, oh no, I wouldn't do it that way. But then they give you a really detailed explanation of how you would do it. And it's a really great collaborative space and a great place to learn. Some of the stuff that we've got going on at the moment, we have ebooks on logic gates. We have a technical spotlight, which is a learning platform based around wirelessly charging electric vehicles. So if you want to learn about that, go onto the website. It is free. You could just go grab it and grab some learning. We're giving away, including something to do with Clem, who will be up shortly. We're giving away oscilloscopes, which is kind of mad, which is great. Essentials quiz, more learning, including Raspberry Pi, with today being Pi Day, 14th of the 3rd, 3.14, if you go with the more American date system. I have been putting together a bunch of cool activities and content for Pi Day. We have books on the Raspberry Pi and photography and computer vision. Again, a free ebook to grab. Because Raspberry Pi have just launched 2 new sets of cameras in the last couple of months, including last week. And we have live webinars with Roger and James from Raspberry Pi, where you actually get to interact with the principal software engineers and the folks behind the actual applications, the industrial applications for Raspberry Pi. On top of that, we've got some urban and indoor farming ebooks, which are available to download. So lots and lots of great stuff that you can just grab. Element14 Presents is one of the cooler sides of working for this company. Clem, who will be coming up talking in a minute, will be talking about his projects and what he's been building with the Raspberry Pi and what we've been building. And these videos are available on YouTube on Element14 Presents. We've got, what have we got here? We've got a Star Wars robot. We've got, or Clem will talk through this, a giant Raspberry Pi, which is fully working. This thing's ridiculous. It's about this big across. And Wesley, who built it, started work on wiring every single one of the GPIO pins up to another Raspberry Pi that's just sat on the back, which is pretty good. But he ended up measuring it and wanted to show how big it was, because it doesn't really come across how big it was. So he's piled up beer bottles on it by the end of the video. So you've got the human scale of beer bottles. So yeah. All sorts of videos that are available. So, Raspberry Pi, 11 plus years now. Last year was the 10th year, which was really cool to kind of see the journey this has been on. You can tell by how crispy this photo is. It doesn't quite come across on this screen, but this was the original morning of Eben turning up in a car with the Raspberry Pis in a box and kind of handing them over at Farnell and going, oh. This post, April 2012, it's been a long time coming, but this afternoon, Raspberry Pi arrived at our UK distribution center, literally dropping them off in a box in a car, which is pretty cool. And since then, 40 million have been sold, so pretty impressive for one car. They don't deliver them by hand anymore, but yeah. 2005, early prototypes started on Veroboard. Really cool. Nice to see that, even something with such global reach now starts off with just good old-fashioned Veroboard being cut out and all the wires being drilled out by hand. The USB stick, which, although that didn't kind of make it, you could kind of see where the Zero kind of got its heritage from, which is really cool, followed by the early Alpha boards. Yeah, really nice to see. And then in 2012, dropped off in the car. So, really nice. Yeah, we got the heritage coming along from 2012 all the way along to the 2040 with the Raspberry Pi, making their own silicon now, and with the Pico, using it to break it out, and the Pico W. Yeah, some real classics in there, including the early versions with the sharp edges that I still think I've got carbon fiber, glass fiber stuck in my fingers from the very early edges. So the thing I'm here to talk about, along with it, is every year, well, every few months, I get to run a design challenge. That's my main thing within the Element14 community. I get to run these big build competitions. They are maker build project competitions. We work with a supplier of some kind. We get a piece of kit that is new or that is kind of interesting, and we give it to the community, and we give 20, 50, how many of them away to people that want to build stuff. So we get this product, we get it into their hands, we give it to them for free, and we say, build something cool. Genuinely, I get paid to do that. Take a thing, do this, build something cool, and we'll give you a bunch of prizes as we go. The Raspberry Pi Design Challenge, I love, because it's once a year. I get to do one with Raspberry Pi that a lot of people have, a great connection with. It's got good support, it's got good documentation, it's got a great fan base, it's accessible. So the magic thing is with 10-week build period, if I'm asking somebody to build something and they're spending 8 weeks learning the product, then they only have 2 weeks to innovate. If I'm giving them a Raspberry Pi, they are spending the first week getting everything going, and they've got 9 weeks innovating, building something cool, expanding and growing on what it is. So one sponsor, 25-ish free kits, 10 weeks to build, And then all we ask is for them to do 5 blogs throughout that 10 weeks. So they write a blog, hey, I'm starting this is what I'm going to build. Here's the software. This is what I'm going to use. I'm going to make a rubber duck flotation device, whatever it is. And then they build it. And we get to see the process. And because the element14 community has the 700,000, 750,000 members, every time they post something, someone goes, oh, have you thought about using this? Oh, actually, this bit of code's really good. Or if they have a problem, they collaborate. So there's no fierce competition. It's all collaborative. And I love it. It's really, really good. So some design challenges we have run with Raspberry Pi. PiFest was our music-based design challenge. We had people building stuff with the Pico when the Pico first launched. And they were building synthesizers. They were building musical entry devices. They were building performance devices, all running on the Pico, just to get people knowing how it works and how to put the RP2040 onto PCBs, how to solder it directly onto the board with the castellated edges, just lay it on the board. Picasso is one of my favorites. Pi Chef, it's all food-based. We had some sci-fi and future medical stuff, and we had 1 meter of Pi, which was using the Raspberry Pi to manage a cubic meter of space to grow food on your spaceship as you're blasted to Mars. So agriculture indoors on a spaceship in an enclosed system, all within a meter. Pretty cool. We've got some of the photos. Yeah, oh, here's Wesley with his giant Raspberry Pi, Pi Massive. We've got Enrico, who's one of our top members, who went above and beyond, as he always does, and rented an entire art exhibition space for a week, and ran an art exhibition where all of the exhibitions were based on Raspberry Pi. So he got a winning vote on that one. We have a hologram system for interfacing. This person made a bit of a personal assistant with a, what's the thingy's ghost style effect, where it pops up and it floats in the air. They did that. Here's one of the 1 meter of Pi greenhouses that was looked after. One particular community member was in university and was staying on university grounds in halls, as we call them in the UK. And I got a message 3 months after the competition had finished, and he's like, hey, buddy, yeah, so you should see this. And what he'd done is, underneath his bed, in the student halls, he'd made the garden where they were growing the food, as you can kind of see here. But he went away for the summer and came back, and all the bottom of his bed was black. Because just all the water was running, and it was just moldy, because the guy had left it running over summer and not thought to somehow protect this, which I love. Is really good. Again, here, a custom synthesizer built using the Raspberry Pi Pico and some control systems. This one started off as a cool sort of walk-in system, but what actually happened is he ended up making it into a wrestler walk-in system. So when wrestlers walk down the ramp and it plays their track? Well, that's what that did. It did facial recognition, figured out who you were, and played your theme tune as you walked into the building. Pretty novel, good bit of fun. And including my 2 favorites over here, which were from Pi Chef, where this group made a IoT smoker, because he was going to make it anyway. And he thought, I may as well enter the competition and win something while I'm at it. And this one is a smart extractor fan, which used a 16-pixel infrared camera or heat recognition camera facing downwards, connected to the Raspberry Pi over I2C, I believe. And it told where the hotspots were on the hob. So the little screen would display the recipes. It would allow them to page family members saying, oh, dinner's ready, come down, get the teenagers out of their beds. But also, if you went to bed and it was still hot, if you left a hob on, it would send push notifications to everybody in the house. So great safety feature there. And these are all people that are doing it just for the love of doing it. So I am excited to announce the next design challenge. This is the SciPi design challenge, Maker Electronics project competition. And we're launching that today as of Pi Day. So yeah, I'm very excited. So what is it? Raspberry Pi is the sponsor. Raspberry Pi, we have 25 of the currently coveted RP Raspberry Pi 4 Model Bs that we're going to be giving away to our 25 favorite applicants. They're worth more than gold at the moment, as I'm sure you know. So the whole goal is to support scientists in their experiments in some way with this. Now, you could create something that takes an archaic piece of lab equipment and connects it to the internet, makes it IoT lab equipment, or you want to do an open source logging device, or you want to create something that will support scientists in some way in their experiments. Because science is expensive, and Raspberry Pi, this particular model, is affordable, and it's a good way of allowing scientists to do repeatable things, to open source it, and to allow people to understand what's actually going on. We ask that people that enter this make their code available to the public so that anybody else can replicate what they're doing in their own labs. 25 challengers will get it free of charge. Winners, every challenger that does the 5 blogs and adheres to the T's and C's, asterisks and all that, will get a prize for free. And the winning prizes will be getting an automatic tracking telescope. It's one of the automated ones that moves and zooms in on whatever that you're actually interested in looking for, and a 4K microscope that's connected to the PC so you can see it on screen. Really exciting. Please check it out. More information is on community.element14.com/SciPi, or you can just check out the Element14 community, community.element14, if you want to learn more. Please do enter. It's low barrier to entry. It's great fun. It's actually really nice fun. So feel free to take any photos or check it out. There is more stuff to go. But next, I'm going to be introducing Clem Mayer, who's Mayer Makes, who's one of our YouTube hosts, maker influencer, and just a nice guy. Come on, Clem, go for it. Thanks.
Hello. I'm Clem Mayer from Mayer Makes, which is my little one-person company that does stuff. Mainly, I make project videos to entertain and educate people at the same time. Currently, all that I do is on Element14 Presents, which I very much enjoy. Some of the projects I do are based on Raspberry Pi. Actually, a lot of the projects I do are based on Raspberry Pi in one way or another. I come to what I mean by another way in a bit. This, for example, is a Super 8 camera. Maybe some of you still know them. And I found this one in the trash at the local recycling center. And I thought, oh, that's a nice bit of kit. Can I get a film for that? No. Or yes, I can, but it's very expensive. And developing the film is even more expensive. So what I did is basically I used a Raspberry Pi, I think it was the 3A+, and the original camera to digitize that camera. So basically it records digitally instead of film. Made a little proof of concept, one video where it sticks out the back because it's just too big to fit all inside the camera. That video did pretty well, and people were, can you develop that further, like into something that people actually can use if they want to revive those old cameras? And when the Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4 came out, we basically made another version that fit inside the slot based on the Compute Module 4. And that is now an open source project that is kind of evolving, but there's like this issue of cost and demand for such systems. And with the issue of cost and demand for a lot of projects comes, do you actually need the latest, greatest model of Raspberry Pi for your project. They are super powerful, but what are you actually running on there? Do you really need that? And it often boils to, you don't need to have a Pi for that. You could do it on a microcontroller. And Raspberry Pi knows that. That is why we basically have now the RP2040, the Raspberry Pi Pico, and it's basically the same quality of ecosystem, but for microcontrollers. So they already know that a lot of people used Raspberry Pis for projects that could be done on microcontrollers. And for a lot of projects that I do, like even in the latest year, and not just because Raspberry Pi 4 wasn't available to me, I still used an A+. Not a free A+ or something, an A+, so from 2015 or so. And it was perfectly fine to run my project on there. And people still use single-board computers for projects that don't really need to be done on a Linux running single-board computer. But why do they do that? Why do they spend the money on a Raspberry Pi if they could do it on like a cheap microcontroller? It's the complete package that you get with Raspberry Pi. The software, the support, the way things just work. When you're doing a project, you want things to get going, that they just have to work. You have to have an easy framework that you can get into, that you're actually doing work, and not fiddle around with the thing until it falls apart, and then you switch to a different platform, fiddle around again, and somehow you make it work down the line. You want it today. When I'm doing videos, all my projects have to be done basically within 3 to 4 weeks. So every video that you see, that is me grinding for 3 to 4 weeks. And then not just the project is done, but also the video, post-production, everything. So I need to have an ecosystem where I can just get going. That is what sets apart a Raspberry Pi from all the other single-board computers. Because you have an environment that you can rely on, and you find a tutorial for every little thing. And the thing that makes it, for me, a really great connection to the element14 community is if I have a question that Google doesn't answer for me by just typing in the question, finding a tutorial that some user has made, I go on the community, type my question in, click send, and usually overnight some Indian guy knows it. It's 90% of the time there's an Indian guy who has exactly done that thing, and he already knows what I have to do and how to make it a bit better than I could ever do it. That is one of the greatest things about having the element14 community in conjunction with all that, because I have resources where I get actual answers by actual people and not marketing, blah, blah. Yeah. So over the years, we have made countless projects. I think about 50% of those involve Raspberry Pi in some way or another. The another way is exactly that software ecosystem. That means I'm not actually running a Raspberry Pi for my project, but what I do is I use Python or MicroPython or any other code on there that is commonly used on a Raspberry Pi, and I find my solutions in the Raspberry Pi resources. And by applying those to other boards, to other projects, I get double benefit out of them. And I think that is one of the main reasons why First Pi got so popular in the first place, because you just can get started and it works. It's not, yeah, it's really easy to start with our new microcontroller platform, and you just have these 437 steps to complete your first task and blink an LED. It's 1 or 2 steps at most. It's download the software, put the SD card in, boot it, and you're good to go. And that is what a lot of these projects are based on, is just knowing how to use a platform right from the beginning. As Phil told, with all these design challenges, that's the most crucial aspect, get people going, and then they can be creative. And I hope that a lot of people can be creative with Raspberry Pis in the future. We're all in the same boat. We all want to get our hands on the newest ones. And I also just ordered them at Farnell, and if I get one, then I get one. And if I need to make a project now, I just use any other Raspberry Pi that I can get my hands on, maybe from an old project, or I still have it in stock. But we need to also realize that the stuff that we do on there is not dependent on the latest and greatest hardware. It's dependent on the full package. So as long as I have a Raspberry Pi in my hand, I know I can get that project going. It doesn't have to be the latest one, but of course I would like to have the latest one. Yeah. Of course, I did continue this talk in English. If somebody prefers German, I'm here for questions and stuff later on, and I'm also happy to answer them in German if that is preferred. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, so as Clem said, if anybody's preferring German, we'll be at the back after this. We'll be taking some questions and be able to answer in German if any of that wasn't clear. Yeah, so what's next? What else can we do? The Sci-Fi Design Challenge, Sci-Pi Design Challenge is live. Take photos. Please sign up. It's going to be really cool. What else can you do? You sign up for the Design Challenge. You can check out the Farnell Pi Day. I believe there's cupcakes. We're just in the next hall over that way. Yeah, I've seen a couple of I'll go get cupcake faces there. Check out one of our free ebooks. You can check them out on element14, community.element14/ebooks. We tend to follow that theme. Check out our free webinars, or visit the Raspberry Pi stand as well, who are right next to us over there, just in that hall over there. But yeah, if there's any questions, Clem and I, Clem will be in German, I'll be in English. We'll be stood at the back, and it's probably better with a minute and a half to go to say there. So thank you all very much. I'd love if you check out the Design Challenge. I've been Phil from element14. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great day. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Phil. Thank you, Clem. You can find them in Hall 3A at stand 519. And the next session is starting soon in just a few minutes.